This is Money Moves on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network.
Kicking off hour 2 here, Money Moves on this St. Patrick's Day edition of the program. VSiN, the Sports Betting Network. Stormy, Buonantony, Jonathan Von Tobel with you. This segment presented by Upside. Download the free Upside app today and earn real cash back every time you fill up your gas tank. Plus, when you use the promo code SPORTS, you'll get an extra 25 cents per gallon on your first tank. Stormy, Buonantony, and JVT again live in downtown Las Vegas. Circa Resort and Casino, lots to come still this hour. We will hit on a number of interesting ATS and seeding trends in the NCAA tournament with the field officially set. First 4 getting underway tonight from Dayton, Ohio, with 2 of those 4 games coming up. We'll have best bets at the end of the hour. Dive into a little bit of the NHL card. We did get some breaking news last segment in the National Hockey League as well, that one of the Edmonton Oilers stars, Leon Draisaitl, done for the rest of the regular season. Nothing really further beyond that, so we'll see how that plays out once we get to the postseason and everything in what is a very competitive, final couple weeks, month here of the NHL season with the Pacific Division, the balance, wild cards, all of that.
All within a point of each other still.
Yep.
And I don't know, you would be the sharper mind here, but I still think Edmonton can win it. I mean, I feel.
You just said they're only point out.
And you know how I feel about the Vegas Golden Knights. My knowledge and depth of knowledge about what the Ducks are, you've been high on them. So that would be something that would be up for you. But I don't think it's crazy that they can do it without Draisaitl. But, I mean, that's coming from me who you want to read my futures portfolio. Yeah. It's not really.
It's really up for grabs. Although your Red Wings, with some of the injury stuff, they could be on the outside looking in as well. You need Columbus to get in there.
And my love for the Buffalo. But the Buffalo Sabres are going to be my shining beacon if they can get this done, which I think, are they the league, the point leader in the East, or is that still, that's Carolina?
Carolina.
Yeah,
they're
right, okay.
Overall in the league, I want to say they're 4th in points right now.
I know they're leading their division.
Yep.
So let's keep going, Buffalo.
They've got Vegas Golden Knights tonight, always attractive as an underdog.
I wish I was drinking, because there's a local spot out here that was, I was telling you the other day, has a really good package to put together. It includes a drive down there and a ticket and everything. And oh well.
Any locals? Do you want to? You can say it if you want.
No, we don't get free pops here.
Come on, we love them.
We do.
Really good pizza and wings. We'll share that at another time.
Lost quite a bit of money playing video poker over there the other day. Yes.
But we'll dive into that full 9-game card tonight in the NHL in just a little bit. But I actually wanted to kick things off in the association with you, because while we have been so one-track minded with the NCAA tournament, and rightfully so, by the way, if you missed any of the first hour of the program, a really good breakdown with our VSiN.com managing editor, Adam Burke, about the approach to Survivor. If you're interested in getting into any of these NCAA tournament Survivor contests, we've obviously got one going on at Splash Sports right now, splashsports.com/VSiN, if you want to learn more about that. But Money Moves in podcast form, wherever you get your podcasts. Listen to that full breakdown and discussion, because it was really insightful with how you approach all of that. That said, you've been trying to manage your time and balance everything, because you're our NBA guy. You love this league so much. So I know you've still been paying attention while trying to figure out how you want to approach the bracket with the tournament. Anything that we should know in particular about today? Yeah,
there's a couple of games, but I'll just say it's a big day for the bottom of the Eastern Conference, because as everything has been going on in college basketball, conference tournament week, getting ready for the NCAA tournament, the teams seeded 5 through about 9 have been at war, and we have a lot going on. And what that means is now you have all of these teams from Orlando in control of 5 all the way down to Philadelphia in control of 9 that are all within a game and a half of each other. So a day like today looms large. Miami gets to play the Charlotte Hornets. That game does not hold as much impact. I think if you have a Hornets ticket to win that division, I'm not going to say that your dreams are gone, but you're 4.5 games back right now. You're running out of daylight. More than likely, you are a playoff or a play-in team. Your gap, if you're Charlotte, has grown between you and Milwaukee. It's funny, once you get healthy, you had brought this up a ton about 2 weeks ago. They were winning games left and right. Giannis comes back. You're 2-8 in your last 10, and now all of a sudden it is a 5.5 game for the Charlotte Hornets in control of the 10th seed. Well, why this all matters is Miami is a half game back of both Orlando and Toronto for one of the top 6 seeds, and of course the ability to miss the play-in. That also matters because Orlando happens to be on the 3rd game and 4-night second leg of a back-to-back against the Oklahoma City Thunder tonight. So this looms large for a Miami Heat team, but no Bam Adebayo today. Everybody else is available, save for one, Andrew Wiggins, who's not going to be out there on the injury report still here. So I think overall, you look at this number, we're up to 5.5 now in favor of Charlotte. Totals 235, 234.5. We know how good this Charlotte team has been for the overall season in terms of covering some of these numbers. But as a 5.5 point favorite, I get that Bam Adebayo is not out there. Be curious to see how high this gets, though. to maybe come back on the other end for the Miami Heat. So both of these teams have a significant rest coming in.
Mm-hmm.
Both are coming in off 2 days of rest, so there's no real advantage there. You just do wonder if once this number gets to a certain point for a Hornets team that you don't want to say has nothing to play for, but Miami definitely has more at stake in a game like this, and Charlotte is just looking to pad its lead over Milwaukee.
Mm-hmm.
But give them some credit, Miami. Last time out, they lose to Orlando. It snapped a 7-game cover streak for the Miami Heat, and they had won those 7. They have been a cover machine here as of late, and very quietly have been one of the best cover teams in the NBA here, 41, 26, and 1, depending on where you look at some of your closing numbers. So I would look toward Miami, depending on where this number gets to. What do you have? Because I think my screen might be off.
No, I have 5.5.
Okay,
as
all right.
well.
Just want to make sure. So either way, we'll see where it gets to. But I think Bam Adebayo being listed as doubtful, one of the big ones. And I should note, too, I do think OKC is pretty live here to cover a relatively big number. Obviously, you mentioned the situation spot against Orlando, having to play in a brutal scheduling situation. Orlando coming in on the second leg of a back-to-back at a third game in 4 nights. Thunder have been rested. Thunder also quietly getting a little bit healthier. Isaiah Hartenstein is back for them. The only guy that you're missing right now is Jalen Williams, who has still been out with his hamstring strain. They're letting him come along slowly. Everybody else, Stormy, is available for the Oklahoma City Thunder. So I think in this one, too, this has been bet up to 9.5 overnight. Some spots were at 8. I don't think that you're too scared off here. I think the Thunder are in a position to start to flex their muscles a little bit. And remember, they do have plenty to play for. Not only do they have their own winning streak intact right now, coming into this having won 8 straight, they only lead by 3 games over a San Antonio team that they don't own a tiebreaker against. So they do need to win these games. They are a little bit healthier. I think Oklahoma City, Freudian slip, is going to be live there against Orlando tonight.
So that game, spread-wise, up from 8 to 9.5, even as high as 10 at FanDuel, depending on where you're looking there. For that Miami-Charlotte game as well, opened 3.5 out to as far as 5. We've seen a little bit of total movement on both of those games, too. Miami-Charlotte toward the over from 232.5 up to 234.5, what I'm seeing right now. And then same thing, over money that we're seeing in Oklahoma-Orlando, just a 1-point swing there, 223.5 sitting on your total there.
How about some of these big favorites today, too?
I was going to say, so are we going back to the parlay, because there's so many double-digit favorites tonight?
Detroit is a 19.5-point favorite over Washington. New York is a 14.5-point favorite over Indiana. Cleveland is a 11.5, 10-point favorite, or 10.5-point favorite, depending on where you look, over Milwaukee. Denver is a 15.5-point favorite over Philly. Sacramento is a 13.5-point underdog at home against San Antonio. And if you wanted to add it for bonus, as we just talked about, you could get the 6th leg on Oklahoma City against Orlando here if you wanted to put that together. But this is kind of the problem with a day like today. There's so many big favorites. How do you really handle that card? And then the other portion that makes it more challenging is the other game, which actually has a somewhat tight spread in Phoenix and Minnesota. Anthony Edwards is not playing today, and that's why that number is so low.
Okay, I'm going to try to put this parlay
Piece it together. Give me what range you can get. So
do you want all the double-digit ones?
Yeah, throw them all on there and throw OKC on there.
And you want OKC in there, too?
Yeah,
okay.
See what we're getting here. Detroit over at... let me see. Here at Circa, Detroit is up to a 20-point favorite over Washington today.
Sheesh.
Yeah, it is. And they're on the road. So imagine what that would be when they're playing at home here against the Washington Wizards. I would assume that it is not what you think it is in terms of 6-leg moneyline parlay.
Plus 110.
Okay, there you go.
You're getting plus money, though, finally. I did that 5-legger for even money last week.
Now
but
throw
in cash.
In all the 1 seat. No, just
well, we got creative last week. I'm still laughing at that one that we did, that we were trying to do whatever we could to get it over even money. Ended up throwing in Team USA in the World Baseball Classic.
Yeah.
And was it Nevada in the Mountain West Tournament, too, for one of their quarterfinal games?
Yeah, I mean, they were a 20-point favorite against Air Force, so I think that's probably
so
what we were
just threw that in as well, to whatever you can to get to the plus money. But I'll say they were cashing, though, no matter what you did.
Out of curiosity, before anybody's like, this is stupid.
It is ridiculous.
I'm just putting it together out of curiosity. I am going to throw some of the 1 seeds from Thursday on here to see what that would pay out.
Okay.
Some of the big spreads. We'll see.
What an exercise here.
Just out of curiosity, just want to see what's going on.
I do think it's funny, too, that you brought up that Bucks thing, because how does that happen?
Yeah.
That Giannis isn't on the court with you. You're, 6+ point underdog on every given night. You're winning all these games outright. And then the minute he comes back, you can't win a game to save your life.
Yeah. I'm laughing because I was...
What is it?
I'm just looking at for example, because again,
which ones did you pick?
You're not really getting a lot. Like Duke, for example, it takes it from plus 105 to plus 107. So it's not really worth it.
See, you would think it'd almost be like a compounding interest thing where you'd get some more bang for your buck just because it's now the 7th leg of the parlay, at least bolster them a little little bit, but it's nothing.
No, not at all. Let's see. I just actually want to put this together now to see how ridiculous. How many legs can I get for this to still be under plus 150? Let's see. Would you be interested in a 12-leg money line parlay that pays plus 140?
Kill me now. Absolutely not. Absolutely not. What I would be interested in, however, is saving money at the gas tank. And what I'd like even more than that is getting cash back when I'm over there filling up my tank as well. And with the free Upside app, you can do that right now. You earn real cash back every time you fill up your tank at the pump. It's quick, it's easy, it adds up. We're seeing drivers earn $200 to $300 a year just by buying the gas they already needed anyways. And when you use the promo code SPORTS, get 25 cents back per gallon on that first tank as well. Cash out anytime to your bank account or e-gift cards like Amazon. Download the Upside app today, Google Play Store, App Store, wherever you do. Promo code SPORTS for a limited time, 25-cent per gallon bonus. Offers vary by user and location. Upside.com if you want more details.
Breaking news, the Colts have signed another former college basketball player to play tight end. Notre Dame basketball forward Carson Tout has been signed to the Indianapolis Colts. How about that?
Wow, look at you guys making moves. The moves that matter.
Mo Ali Cox played for VCU, and he's had a pretty good career as a tight end, so maybe they've got an eye for this sort of thing.
Speaking of which, do like VCU this week as well as a little short dog. I think they're out to 3 now. People playing North Carolina.
Yeah.
Not for me, friends.
Just sit back and wait. See what it's going to get to.
Let's go. Well, I already bet it yesterday.
Okay, sorry.
But not afraid to add. I do like the side. Speaking of the NCAA tournament, we have a number of interesting trends that you should be aware of. Listen, not all are created equal, but interesting nonetheless. We'll hit on those. What's bettable, what's not when we return here on Money Moves.
So you're listening to this podcast because you want an edge. But what if I told you you're only halfway there? You've got the mindset. Now it's time to get the toolkit to match. Here's the thing. Pro bettors spend thousands on data and tools. But what they don't want you to know is that you can get the same edge for a fraction of the cost with VSiN Pro. VSiN Pro gives you access to expert picks, public betting data, prop projections, powerful tools, analytics, and more. Just tap the link in the description and see why thousands of bettors are already using VSiN Pro to cash more bets.
You're watching Money Moves here on VSiN, the sports betting network.
First four getting underway today. The NCAA tournament in earnest with the round of 64 beginning on Thursday. Lots to get to as we welcome you back here to Money Moves, VSiN, the sports betting network, Sirius XM channel 158, iHeartRadio, YouTube TV, wherever you're watching or listening. Thanks for hanging out with us. Stormy Buonantony, Jonathan Von Tobel with you. I want to hit on some interesting trends here around the tournament. And it's not just seeding related because I feel like for the most part, we know what all of those big things are, but a couple that do have to do with that. A lot of ATS stuff, just some trends, streaks, things of that ilk. Are you ready?
Okay, sure.
I don't think that's a word that's used enough. I'm trying to get down with it. We talked yesterday a little bit about the UConn Huskies and how they
came out a little rough. I didn't know if you're
largely struggled throughout the course of the year to cover numbers. Been a little bit better more recently down the stretch, however. When it comes to the tournament, though, the last couple years, they have been absolute cover monsters, JVT. UConn covering the spread 14 straight NCAA tournament games going back to 2023. It's the longest streak by any team since 1985. Can they keep it rolling here? First game of the tournament against Furman. They have been bet out from 19.5 to 20.5.
I'm going to say no, they can't keep it going.
Paladins, 6th seed coming out of the SoCon. Now, obviously, a big underdog here in the NCAA tournament. So for them to win that tournament to begin with was a big surprise.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to be that guy. But having said that, I mean, again, you look at these past teams, what are really the correlation outside of Hurley? Is Liam McNeely going to come back and average 14 points per game? We can go on and on. I would tend to Hurley's a good coach, and I think there is something to be said of maybe being good enough in some of these quick turnarounds. We were having this discussion last year. I can't remember which team they were facing in the second round, but it was one of those where it might have been not the Georgetown game, because that was I'm thinking about this year. Anyway, but the fact of, hey, I'm used to being able to turn around and get ready. Oh, it was the Todd Golden Florida game. They ended up losing that, but they covered. I'm used to the quick one-day turnaround because I've done this a couple of times. Maybe those sort of things matter. But those last two teams were so complete. They had NBA players on the roster. Stephon Castle was on one of those teams. Stephon Castle's like one of the best NBA players right now that's playing, especially as a perimeter defender. Did you see him the other night against Brook Lopez, by the way? The ridiculous move that he made, the behind-the-back dribble to then spin baseline to finish. So, anyway, I digress. I don't think that I would take too much out of that. But it doesn't seem, it seems like a lot of people are buying it. You had this yesterday.
Yeah, UConn, I think it was at BetMGM and other places as well. UConn, the most bet team, because it at the time was at 35-1. It's since been bet down to the 25 to 28 to 1 range. But to win the NCAA tournament has been a very, very popular play here early, despite them coming out of that east part of the bracket, which we've been talking about often is so tough.
So people are buying it.
Sure. 15 of the last 17 tournaments, at least one 4-seed has been knocked out in the opening round. Your 4 seeds this year, Kansas, Arkansas, Alabama, and Nebraska. Last year is one of those 2 years that it didn't happen. We've never seen back-to-back years where we didn't have a 4-seed knocked out of the first round. We've talked a lot about Alabama potentially being vulnerable against Hofstra, especially now that we know that Aiden Holloway is more than likely not to be available. Nate Oates saying that they are preparing not to play with him over this first weekend of the tournament. But Kansas, Arkansas, Nebraska, who is 0-8 all-time in the NCAA tournament as well. Could we get potentially multiple 4s that are out early?
Okay, so this doesn't matter, but it could still happen, right? I mean, and here's the thing.
That's why I didn't title this segment Meaningful or Meaningless today. I titled it Did You Know? Sure. Because it just presents some intrigue.
Well, but here's the thing, and this is, I think, an interesting example of what we're going to see just in this tournament and what we're seeing potentially take place in college basketball as a whole. We had referenced some of this yesterday, and I believe Mitch and Paul covered this and read it outright in detail. But if we're talking about those 4-13 dynamics from Purdom yesterday, David Purdom over at ESPN, the average spread in the 4-13 games, 14.3, is the largest ever. So we're starting to see, maybe it's the effects of NIL, all of these teams at the top end of the power conferences are getting the best of the best, and some of the other little guys are not really doing that. And so the gap between these teams are growing. So maybe this is the year, and the numbers will tell us that this is the least likely that we're going to see one of these 4 seeds get knocked out. Having said that, there's extenuating circumstances. Alabama's second leading scorer right now is on campus, and maybe he won't be playing this week. Nebraska, we'll see the matchup and how that works for them. Kansas has been Jekyll and Hyde all year long, so we'll see maybe if they all of a sudden get upended. I don't think they do. I laid it with them. So I think it makes sense that in past years, the gap between 4 and 13, where you're getting some of these middling Power 5 teams versus the high-end conference winners, the AQs, that does matter to an extent. But I think we're starting to see that gap really grow.
I think Kansas is like of that group the most likely to handle business in their game against Cal Baptist. Nebraska, though, I know Troy has been a pretty trendy pick here so far on that 13.5, 12.5 point spread, depending on where you're looking. Another thing that's anti-Nebraska and Alabama in terms of national championship hopes this year that I thought was interesting. No team has won a national title after losing its first game in their respective tournament. So Illinois, Michigan State, Alabama, Nebraska among that group and some others too. But if you are an early out in the tournament, even when it's been some of those bigger tournaments and you're a higher projected seed, it hasn't mattered. How about this one for your Arizona Wildcats? Each of the last 6 times Arizona's had a 1 seed, they have failed to reach the Final Four, longest streak by any program since seeding began in 79.
Man, I remember those 1988 Arizona Wildcats. I'll say it doesn't matter. Now, here's the thing.
But again, did you know it's historically interesting?
Okay, well, how am I supposed to answer this? No, I didn't know.
No. I'm just, the way that I'm presenting it is that it's a historically interesting fact, I think, that when they have had high expectations to reach a Final Four and win a national championship, they haven't even gotten there.
Yeah. And Tommy Lloyd does have the pressure on him this year to, I mean, I always wonder, like, the pressure to what? Only one team can win. So is it good enough for Tommy Lloyd to make a run to the Final Four, or is that going to be considered a failure if he doesn't win a national championship with this team? That will be the real question. Made it to the Sweet 16 each of the last 2 years. You've got to get further than that, I would suppose, and maybe Elite 8 Final Four is good enough for it, but there is something to the pressure I think that Arizona is facing this year because Tommy Lloyd has been viewed as a failure by some, so we'll see. But in 3 of the 4 years, he has reached Sweet 16 with Arizona. I think a lot of programs would pay for that. And so I think they are going to be good enough. And they sound like a popular pick. I think somebody on this network as a guest picked Arizona to win a national.
You want to play it?
Sure.
We can. That's somebody, former big-time Division I college basketball coach Tom Crean on VSiN by the books this morning. Take a listen.
Coach, if you had to say who's going to be the last team standing here, who's it going to be and why?
Arizona, to me, I think it's Arizona, Florida in the finals. It could go either way. I think the difference is Arizona has got the guard play that's consistent throughout the year. Jaden Bradley, Braden Burries, Anthony Delorso. They've got the front line. They've got 4 legit front liners. I think Ivan Karchenkov is going to be a guy that the world is going to know even more so than the basketball world at the end of this tournament. Braden Burries is a phenomenal freshman. I think he's a single-digit draft pick when it comes. Cole Pete, those guys have done a great job inside of there. Jaden Bradley is a leader. You got to have great guard play, but you got to have rim protection, and you've got to have ways to get to the foul line. Arizona's got all that.
So Arizona's a pick for Tom Crean, your pick as well, currently on the odds board, plus 380 to win it all.
It's a pretty popular pick in the guide, if I remember correctly, as well.
Which also falls into a range of teams that tend to win over the course of history since seeding began again in that 1978 range. Only 4 teams have had pre-tournament odds longer than 21 to go on to 20 to 1, to go on to win it. 1983 NC State, 1985 Villanova, 2011 and 2014 UConn, the 4 teams that have had longer odds than 20 to 1 and gone on to win the tournament. The teams sub those numbers currently: Duke, Michigan, Arizona, Florida, Houston, and Iowa State. Everyone else is 22 to 1 odds or longer, which then also leads me to another interesting point here. The pre-tournament favorite has not won the NCAA tournament 3 straight years in this time as well. So the last 2 years, we have seen the pre-tournament favorite go on to win the whole thing. This year, your pre-tournament favorite is Duke. And I want to play this other clip from Tim Brando on VSiN Primetime, because he is someone who is very it appears, these top seeds.
They're all in trouble. I don't see any of them making it. I'm going to make a prediction right now. None of them make it. Wow. None of them. None of them get through their brackets. They've all got holes, gentlemen. I would say the most talented team and the most versatile team of that group is Michigan, and I don't think they're invincible either. I mean, there are no UNLVs of 90 out there, fellas. They're not. It's not unlike football. We're talking about a talent pool that's been spread around the country, and as great as those 1 seeds may look on paper to people that really don't keep up, they're not all that. They're not.
Again, that was with Tim and Matt yesterday on VSiN Primetime.
I mean, the odds would disagree, right? Well, in the sense of what Brando's saying is the talent has been spread out unless these teams are equal to each other. And yet this is a tournament in which we're starting to see point spreads we have never seen before in some of these games. The 4-13, the 3-14, all 4 2 seeds, at least 20-point favorites over 15 seeds for the first time since 1986. So we'll see. All 4 not making it, though. That's pretty surprising. Yeah,
and I was going to say, too, I just found it very interesting in the context of how we've been talking so much about this tournament, where it does feel top heavy. I know the East specifically is a tough road for Duke, but overall it seems like there's that line of demarcation from the teams that are really at the top and can win it all to those that don't. Which, speaking of which, listen, we know brackets are for everybody. It's so fun to fill out, but if you're looking to do something for bettors, the VSiN March Betting Challenge presented by ProfitX and Edge Boost is going to be going on. Pick spreads and totals across all 67 tournament games. Earn points for every correct call. Prizes are real too. $2,000 for the champ, $1,000 for second, $500 for third, and more. Plus, if you've got an Edge Boost account, every single prize doubles. VSiN.com/contest. Create your account. Get in there. VSiN.com/contest.
You're watching Money Moves here on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network.
Back here on Money Moves, Stormy Buonantony, Jonathan Von Tobel with you. Just got a bit of breaking news in the NBA. JVT, we knew that Anthony Edwards was going to be out tonight against Phoenix, but it looks like a little bit longer than expected now. 1 to 2 weeks is the report for Anthony Edwards that he will miss time. So it matters for a couple of reasons. We hit on this very briefly in our conversation about the Los Angeles Lakers, but the Minnesota Timberwolves are in that glut of teams that are within 2 games of each other for a top 6 seed in the Western Conference. Obviously, it is 4 teams that we're talking about here because the Spurs are 7 games ahead of the Los Angeles Lakers for the 2 seed. So the Lakers, the Rockets, the Nuggets, the Timberwolves, all within 2 games of each other for that 3, 4, 5, 6 mix. Timberwolves are also 2 games, just barely, ahead of Phoenix for that play-in spot. So Phoenix could still, in theory, carve their way out here, maybe make up a deficit, get into the top 6. I wouldn't include the Clippers. The Clippers are 7 games back of the Minnesota Timberwolves, who are in control of that one. But so the twofold thing here is
Do they slip enough that they would have to fight their way out of the play-in by the time Anthony Edwards comes back? And the other part of this has been pointed out by many, but I'll just read Tim Bontemps' tweet here. Edwards has already missed 10 games. If he misses 2 weeks, he will be at the 65-game minimum, so he will just be there. In other words, if he misses the 2 weeks, he cannot miss another game. Otherwise, he would not be a candidate for end-of-seasons awards. Now, you would say, well, what is he really up for? The All-NBA stuff does matter. We've talked about the All-NBA and betting that, so he would be in contention for that. And if he is not, then obviously that changes things. So we'll see. I don't think that's as impactful, but worth noting for some people. I think the real important part here is for Minnesota. If he's going to miss these 2 weeks, you're barely on the edge right now. You're the 60, just 2 games ahead of the Suns, who are 7th.
Speaking of that matchup is what we have tonight. So did you have any interest in that game? Minnesota laying 3.5 at home. Total bet down a pretty good ways here too to 221.5, 221.
I mean, I have interest in that. This game becomes very important, obviously, given the fact that Edwards is already not playing. And of course, the fact that this is going to be something that will maybe make a difference in the grand scheme of things. So I didn't have anything from a betting standpoint. As we have discussed many times with the Minnesota Timberwolves, and Anthony Edwards has been part of this. You talk about a team that you cannot trust, a team that has been wildly inconsistent. Minnesota has been that. If you remember last week, I brought it up to Zach Cohen when he was with us on Friday. Just, hey, what do we do with Minnesota as they continue to put forth these really odd and inconsistent efforts? They're one of the top teams in terms of net rating against top 10 net rating opponents, and yet they constantly fail to cover and have been really below average against some of the worst teams in the NBA. Worth pointing out, Stormy, that offensively, they do drop off a cliff without Anthony Edwards. In the 41st percentile of offensive rating in the lineups without Anthony Edwards on the floor, averaging 114.1 points per 100 possessions. They are a very good defensive team, so maybe that will carry their water as they move forward. But something to watch here today. The inconsistencies and the fact that they do not play well offensively are going to be a couple of things that make a difference tonight.
All right, let's shift gears to the NHL here, but a similar theme, because we mentioned off the top of the hour the news that Edmonton put out a statement today regarding Leon Draisaitl, that he's expected to miss the remainder of the regular season after sustaining a lower body injury in the first period of their game against Nashville the other day. With that, we already knew he was expected out today against the San Jose Sharks. This is one of 8 games coming up on deck today. Edmonton is a pretty decent-sized favorite here, around minus 166 on the money line. And just like you're talking about with Minnesota and Phoenix, this is a big game in terms of the standings and collecting points, whether it's Pacific Division or wild card where things sit right now. Edmonton needs to rack up wins if they want a shot at winning the division. They're just a point back of Anaheim, 2 points back of Anaheim, a point back of Vegas. Sharks, meanwhile, at 70 points right now. They're 1 back of Seattle and LA, battling for that final wild card spot in the Western Conference. Both meetings this season between these two teams have been wild. Edmonton won 4-3 at home at the end of January and lost 5-4 in San Jose at the end of February. Both times, the Sharks were up big early and let those leads go late. I think in one game they were up 3-0, another they were up 3-1, and then end up seeing that lead dissipate, end up winning one of the two regardless. I do lean Sharks. I lean over in this game. Didn't ultimately get into my app and place a bet on either one of these things. I like when you get teams that feel relatively equal at a plus money price. Plus 145 seems attractive, but on the road against an Oilers team that you really feel like you need to get a win right now. There's also that fallen star theory, which actually leads me to another game that I think is a little bit interesting here and that I did place a bet on. The Islanders and Leafs, because the Leafs did kind of get that fallen star win the other day for them at Minnesota following the Austin Matthews injury that's surged across the National Hockey League over the last week. I think they should get back to their struggling ways today. I like this price, even with the Islanders on the road. It's not like it's a big road trip for them. Minus 130, the price here. You have a Leafs team that doesn't have their best player. They've lost 9 of their last 11 games. Even in their wins, they're getting outshot. And third game in 4 nights for them as well. So should have a little bit of fatigue that could play into this. Islanders, they short travel, rested well. The last game that they played was at home against Calgary on Saturday, to which they won. They still, too, have a lot to play for right now. Would like to leapfrog the Penguins for that second spot in the division and or create a little separation from Columbus, who's trying to see if they can make their way back into this one. Lone meeting between these two this year, back in January. Islanders did get the win in that game. I also lean under, but it's been bet down that way to the 5.5. So I try to see if I can get the flat 6, which there are a few of those out there. It's just a little bit juiced, so do with that what you will. Ilya Sorokin, expected in net for the Islanders, tops the league in goals saved above expected, and Joseph Wall on the other side in pretty good form lately.
Why would Columbus be being bet today? Circa opened up $1.34. Now it's down to minus 124.
Hold on. I was just told to do something.
Oh, okay.
I'm not sure what is wrong with me. I was told to move my hair on the left side, but I don't know what's wrong with it. Do I look crazy right now?
Oh, I don't know.
However, Columbus, I think at home against Carolina, let me look up the Hurricanes schedule real quick.
They're coming off of the road win against Tampa. So, and that was on Saturday though. So they've had some time off. If I remember correctly.
I don't know if I would say that's a potential letdown or anything like that. The goal scoring, they have been letting goals in on the other side. I think just important for Columbus to rack up wins right now, right? Like they're in that position where they need to. They've played a ton of overtime or shootout games. So this is one of those games where I could probably see it being closely contested and you maybe want to fire on one of those to go to overtime, like the regulation draw things. You get those at 3-1 pretty regularly right now. There was another game that I was thinking about that for. Wild Blackhawks today. You have the 4 of Chicago's last 6 needing extra hockey, and both meetings in the regular season went to overtime. So that could be another one where if you want to try to get the bang for your buck, see if you can get the regulation draw. That's an angle. But
what about the headliner tonight?
Buffalo and Vegas?
Got to be one of them, right?
I'm going to watch this game from the truck today. So I'm pretty excited for that. I've never watched a game from a truck, which I feel like I should.
Okay. All right.
So that's actually why I don't have a bet in this game, because it's just kind of like there's no rooting in the press box.
Journalistic integrity.
I imagine no rooting in the truck as well.
Vegas getting bet up a little bit.
But what I was going to say is, like, I could be wrong in this, but I feel like every time I see Buffalo and a plus sign next to that money line price, I'm intrigued by it. I think Buffalo, I think a part of why Vegas is getting bet is because they have been playing better lately. They're getting a little bit more healthy. The last time these two played a couple weeks ago, Buffalo had a 3-0 lead. Vegas made it 3-2. I think they scored their 2 goals in the matter of like a couple minutes, and then made things really dicey and interesting in the third period. It actually looked like the better team in the third period. Yeah. So I think that's part of it. Obviously, they're at home as well. But
and can I ask you, because they've also been at home for a while. This is part of a 4-game homestand that they're on. They've been home since they went out to play on March 10th last Tuesday against Dallas, and in fact, this is going to be 6 out of 7 games at home. So I would assume playing at home, these homestands do matter. Practice time, continuity, things like that.
Sure, absolutely. Yeah. I think that's a layer to it too. And I think getting out of what was that ugly stretch where they lost like 6 of 7 games, they've found their form a little bit nicer lately. That said, I mean, Buffalo doesn't look like they're slowing down anytime soon either. Won 9 of their last 10 games. Their lone loss was by a goal to Washington.
Sure.
They look awesome. You always get the fun element too with this matchup where it's like Jack Eichel facing Buffalo again, Alex Tuch facing Vegas. There's like a couple of those fun wrinkles time and time again. Do want to let you guys all know, though, as you're betting the NHL, when football comes back, college basketball, all of that, Sharp Plays can help you out. And they have documented results all throughout the year. They record their logs. Everything's publicly posted. SharpPlays.com for full performance auditing. Something that really separates them. When the Sharp Plays move, sportsbooks take notice. They've got advanced AI tools, trusted insider intelligence, identifying price value before the numbers shift, respected and watch. You can start winning with them today at SharpPlays.com. Again, SharpPlays.com. And it is Sharp Week here at VSiN with all of the college basketball talk that we're getting into today. I'm trying to see if there's any other games that really interest me today. Not particularly, although I don't know if you saw yesterday the Penguins smacked the Avs yesterday. Yevgeny Malkin comes back from the suspension. First shift, ends up having to go to the box for a penalty, and then comes back out on the ice and scores a goal. He has 2 and an assist yesterday, so that was just kind of a fun game if you're a Penguins fan to get to see them beat the best team in the NHL right now. Interesting game with the Avs and Dallas coming up tomorrow that we'll make sure to preview as well, because that's a big one in terms of the Western Conference. Avs now dropped 3 of their last 4 games. Dallas, coincidentally, they lost yesterday to the Mammoth, which was, I want to say, when I was reading about it this morning, their first regulation loss since January 22nd or thereabouts. So, they've been on an awesome run. Can't win them all. Good for the Mammoth and their 4-game skid. But I'm really, really excited for that game coming up tomorrow between Colorado and the Dallas Stars. We got to step aside when we come back, wrapping things up with our best bets of the day. And I've got a little Luck of the Irish fun game to make JVT play. Get ready.
Watching Money Moves here on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network.
this Tuesday, St. Patrick's Day edition of Money Moves, live in downtown Las Vegas Circa Resort Casino. Stormy Buonantony, Jonathan Von Tobel with you. And in honor of the holiday, wanted to play a little game here. Play a little NCAA tournament game with a St. Patrick's Day theme. You cool with it?
Yeah.
So the concept is lucky or good, and you can say if you would have any interest in betting it or not. What? Why are you laughing?
I got a tweet. Hey, Dip S, if a woman asks you if she looks crazy, your response should never be, I don't know. Shut up. You have no idea what you're talking about, Matthew.
Thank you.
Go play White
very
Knights.
Much.
Go play White Knights somewhere else.
No.
Jackass.
Although I will say women really do. We love being called crazy.
I'm not the one that called you crazy.
That's genuinely why we started that segment. I mean, not why we started that segment, Call Me Crazy, but I thought that the idea of it was funny that I do lead that segment. You know how much a woman loves being called crazy.
That's right.
We're fine. Don't worry about it. We'll stay. It's all good.
It's hilarious. I didn't mean to interrupt. I just thought that was funny.
So, okay, segment concept here. Lucky or good, I'm going to present you with a bet or a future in the NCAA tournament, and you tell me if they would need to get lucky in order for that to happen, or no, you should bet that. They're good. Okay? So we're going to start with the first four tomorrow. Miami of Ohio taking on SMU. For them to win that game and advance to the round of 64, you're getting plus 250 on the money line. Lucky or good, and it'll happen.
Okay, so give this to me one more time. What are my options?
So in order for this thing to happen.
No, give me the scenario here really quickly. Oh, beat SMU and advance to the round of 64.
Yes. For that to happen, would it have to be lucky? Like you don't have interest in betting?
I would say good. I've been toying with the idea of like playing this. It's down to 6.5 in some spots. And so in theory, the number's a little too big. And thus, of course, like the money line would be a little bit too big. So I think there's a better chance of them beating SMU than what the market is telling us. So I would say that's something that could realistically happen. You don't have to be lucky.
I want it for them.
Sure.
So bad. Like, I just want to wish this into existence. Hopefully, unfortunately, they're not playing today. I was going to say, hopefully, we can give them the luck of the Irish today to get it done. However, it's coming up tomorrow. What about.
Is that an attempt at an action?
Yeah, I won't go any further.
You stopped immediately.
I shan't be going further on that. There are most accents that I feel pretty confident in when I get going on it, but Irish, Australian, there's a couple I really can't hit.
Oh, I got it. I'll save it for the end of the show, but something St. Patrick's Day related that I'll talk to you about.
All right. On air or off?
I can do it on the air. It's a Von Tobel tradition that I absolutely hate that my dad does.
Oh, interesting. That's a tease. Okay, how about this one? North Carolina to make the Sweet 16. You're getting 6-1. Good enough to get it done, or would they have to get lucky?
Okay, so Sweet 16, we're talking about obviously winning the 2 games this week.
Been a different team since they lost Caleb Wilson.
Yeah, they beat VCU, and then you have to beat Illinois. I mean, I think you have to get lucky, but I don't think it's the craziest thing in the world. Mm-hmm. You and I talked about this the other day. I mean, if they beat VCU, which is certainly possible, Illinois has been all over the place in the way that they have played defensively. We've talked about the runs that they can give up and where they're at. Statistically, they're a good defensive team. But would you really be shocked if Illinois finds themselves in a shootout with North Carolina that's really volatile and maybe in a position to lose that game? I don't think that would be insane. So I don't think you would need ungodly luck of the Irish for that to happen.
A lot of people are playing VCU on the money line in this first round game. I did take the points with them. I think that it's going to be a close game and they should match up well with North Carolina. But as far as the Sweet 16, like, should they get out of that? It would be a bang for your buck play, right? Because hypothetically, as the 6th seed? As a 6th seed, you're going to be an underdog in that game to Illinois anyways. It's a short spread first round game. So getting 6-1, bet 100, win 600 feels worthwhile. I still think lucky in order to get there. So I wouldn't want to play it. How about this one? UConn to win the national championship. We talked about how popular that is, 25-1.
You're going to need to be lucky. You're going to need to be lucky there.
Because of how tough the East is?
I mean, how tough the East is, how wildly inconsistent UConn has been, how overvalued they've been all season long. I could make the argument that they're just not being priced correctly. The projections have been too high on them. The betting market has been too high on them. There are no returns outside of just win-loss that would tell you that they're a team that is going to get this done. And, congratulations on winning a ton of games and getting the 2 seed. The Big East stunk this year. And so I think that when you look at the road they would have to hoe, if you will, to get through here, beating Furman, no guarantee. Taking on the winner of UCLA, UCF.
No guarantee.
Right?
As a 20.5-point favorite.
Being able to having to beat, one would assume, Michigan State. Again, one would assume. And then the other side of whatever gets spit out from the assumed teams, Duke, St. John's, Kansas. And then, of course, still navigating your way through the Final Four. Okay. I just think that you would need a lot of luck, and especially at that price.
Speaking of Michigan State, Tom to the Izzo to get Michigan State to win the East region 7-1.
That I actually kind of like.
Okay.
I mean, it's one of my Final Four teams.
Yep.
So
but also coming out of that side.
Yeah, and coming out of there, your one seed at the top is obviously a little dinged up, so we'll see. You've played them before, so there's some familiarity as well. I do think that is certainly a possibility. Mitch and I were talking on Pod to the Futures yesterday, which is finally up in audio form, by the way.
Going to play some clips tomorrow.
Yep. A little slow on the pace in terms of the clips, but that's not me saying that. But Michigan State to win the East was my pick at 7-1, and I think that's where I would look there too. So no, I don't think so. So far we don't need any luck.
Let me hit you with one more, because another way that you can bet the tournament up at DraftKings and some of these other larger sports books
We
is
should talk about some of these. They're fun.
They are.
Yeah.
So maybe let's set that aside as a segment tomorrow. Let's plan for that. There are a handful of head-to-heads that you can do for certain teams against each other. And this one I found interesting. Nebraska to advance farther than Wisconsin in the tournament, near 2-1, plus 195.
Now that's insane. No, I mean, as somebody who's really high on Wisconsin and who's somebody who thinks that Nebraska might be running into a roadblock in Troy, I've also, as we discussed yesterday with your buddy Dan, I think a lot of Vanderbilt, and so I do think that it's not so much the dynamic of them versus Wisconsin. It's more of, I think Nebraska's just in a tough draw, taking on a Troy team that has the makeup of a team that could upend them and upset them, and then having to run into a Vanderbilt team that seems to be playing some of its best basketball, or at least as close to its best basketball since that undefeated start to the season.
And the pressure of the fan base on those shoulders. 0-8 in the NCAA tournament. Okay, that's all. But I thought that was a fun exercise.
I did too.
You're the worst. I'm trying to be thematic, okay?
Of course.
What's so wrong with enjoying the holiday? So tell me what your Jonathan Von Tobel family tradition is.
No, it's not mine. My dad. So this might hit for some of our audience because some of our audience skews a little bit older. My dad usually, thank God, I haven't done this in many years because I've moved out many years ago when I was about 19, 20. He watches Darby O'Gill and the Little People every year. Have you ever heard of this?
I have no idea.
Take a guess as to ballpark year when this movie came out.
Well, far before your birth. So I'm going to guess the early 80s.
1959.
What?
It's Sean Connery, Darby O'Gill and the Little People. He watches it every
What's it about?
Let's see.
You've never watched it with him?
I have,
you
but
have to.
I hate every second of it. I don't even remember. Just fired, Darby O'Gill does not want to tell his daughter Katie that his position has been taken by a dashing younger man, Sean Connery. And on his way home, Darby slips through a portal to the land of the Little People. There he meets the leprechaun king, Brian, and winds up accidentally bringing the little monarch home with him.
I'm going to have to watch a YouTube YouTube clips of this or something terrible. Later. You know what movie I watched a lot when I was a kid? Rich Buonantony, how did you let me watch this freaking movie? A series of movies, no less. But The Leprechaun, those scary movies.
Hell yeah, dude.
Tortured my nightmares for years. Do you have any best bets today as we wrap things up?
A friend with weed is a friend indeed.
God.
That's one of the best lines ever.
I remember that, like, I was so afraid to go to my garage because there's a scene in a garage. It's a whole thing.
Leprechaun 2. Is Leprechaun 2 when he goes back to the hood? There's
Leprechaun
a lot
back to my little sister Chloe, who's 10 years younger than me, loved that movie.
Those movies
loved
are
it.
Absolutely insane.
Do you have any best bets today?
I have not added anything yet.
Okay. To recap then for me, because there were a few that I put in. Go ahead.
I will interrupt. I apologize. No, I did add something. I know this opened at 4.5 on Sunday, and I was kicking myself for missing out on it. I don't care. TCU plus 2.5 against Ohio State.
Okay, boom. There you go. I mentioned it last segment. I'm on the Islanders money line today, minus 130 against Toronto. I think that the Leafs get back to their losing ways, even at home today, and third game in 4 days for them. Should be a little bit tired. Don't have their best player. Islanders in a position where games just mean more for them here down the stretch. And then in college basketball, I have a play on each of the first 4 games coming up tonight. I'm rolling with UMBC, like I mentioned off the top of the show, against Howard at a short money line price, minus 105. Shop around for this because depending on your book, UMBC is favored. Other places, Howard is favored. I give the Retrievers the edge here. And then Texas, NC State, we saw a lot of under money come in with maybe that pre-flop opener, 162, 163, just feeling a little bit too high. Down at 157.5. I feel like that's a really good buy low opportunity today for two teams that have a lot of offense and are good in the offensive efficiency metrics and bad on defense. So let's get some points. Let's get a little bit of a track meet situation going today.
Like it. That's all I got. Oh, and you added this yesterday.
And I had to make a correction because I did the dumbest thing of all time. And thank you for, I don't have it pulled up right now, but somebody tweeted at me about this, that the 6-1 on Texas Tech to reach the Sweet 16 had to be wrong. You are right. So I now accidentally have a 6-1 Texas Tech to reach the Elite Eight that I do not want. Plus 160 to make the Sweet 16. I did and I think is realistic. So plus 160, the price there, tweaking that from the best bets yesterday. All right. That's a wrap for us today. Thanks everybody for hanging out. Very fun day. Excited for tomorrow. Oh, you're crazy. That's where we will leave you. Excited for tomorrow. Enjoy the first four tonight. Mitch and Polly with Follow the Money coming up next.